As many as 10 Republican senators are considering bucking President Trump. Donald John Trump, Democratic challenger on Van Drew's party switch, "He betrayed our community." Rand Paul pledges to force Hunter Biden vote if GOP backs Dem impeachment witnesses. Trump plans to divert $0.2 billion from Pentagon for border wall construction. Report more on a resolution that would limit his ability to take military action against Iran.
The increasing number is the latest sign of growing GOP frustration over the Trump administration's justification for the drone strike that killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani.
Senator Tim Kaine Michael Caine overnight defense. Trump says it doesn't really matter if Soleimani was plotting imminent attack. Pompeo won't testify before House panel on Iran. Investigation finds Pensacola base shooting was terrorism. The Hill's 12:30 report. Booker drops out of 2020 race. The Hill's morning report. Impeachment week. More DVA is circulating a bipartisan resolution that would direct Trump to remove U.S. forces from any hostilities against Iran within 30 days of its enactment.
GOP sense. Mike Shumway Lee Fox's Bongino, Soleimani posed imminent threat by having a pulse. The Hill's morning report. Impeachment week. This week, impeachment spotlight shifts to the Senate. Moore, Utah, and Rand Paul Howard Paul Rand Paul pledges to force Hunter Biden vote if GOP backs Dem impeachment witnesses. Fox's Bongino, Soleimani posed imminent threat by having a pulse. This week, impeachment spotlight shifts to the Senate. Moore, have already voiced their support for the measure, and Kaine says about 8 more Republicans, including Sen's Susan Margaret Collins. Rand Paul pledges to force Hunter Biden vote if GOP backs Dem impeachment witnesses. GOP leadership. There aren't 51 votes to dismiss Trump articles of impeachment. Here's what happens next on impeachment. Moore, Maine, Lisa Ann Murkowski. Democrats scramble to rein in Trump's Iran war powers. Democrats brace for round 2 of impeachment witness fight. Progressive groups target 8 GOP senators in ad campaign ahead of impeachment trial. Moore, Alaska, Christopher Young. Up to 10 GOP senators consider bucking Trump on war powers. This week, impeachment spotlight shifts to the Senate. Democrats scramble to rein in Trump's Iran war powers. Moore, Ind, and Mitt Romney. Willard, Mitt Romney. Rand Paul pledges to force Hunter Biden vote if GOP backs Dem impeachment witnesses. Poll, 17% of Republicans support Trump impeachment, removal from office. The Hill's morning report. Impeachment week. Moore, Utah, are reviewing it.
Probably about 10. Kaine said when asked about the number of Republicans who could vote to rein in Trump's powers. There's good discussion going on.
Lee said several Republicans are carefully weighing whether to back the measure, adding that it would not be unreasonable to say that there might be a group of 10 who should be considered potential candidates to vote for it.
Democrats can force a vote on the measure at any time, but Senate Minority Leader Chuck Ellis Schumer watchdog group requests ethics probe into McConnell over impeachment remarks. Congressional leaders have been shadow boxing on impeachment. Pelosi set to send impeachment articles to the Senate next week. Moore on Monday said a vote will happen later in the week.
Schumer wants to make sure his entire caucus is present, increasing the odds that a vote would be held sometime after Tuesday night's Democratic presidential primary debate in Iowa.
It needs only a simple majority to pass.
If it passes the Senate, the House would also need to pass the resolution before it can be sent to the White House, where Trump would be expected to veto it.
Lee said fellow Republicans should view the Kaine-sponsored resolution as a completely non-controversial measure that restates the Constitution's declaration that Congress shall have sole power to declare war.
He said it merely spells out that additional hostilities against Iran need to be authorized by Congress.
That is a perfectly unremarkable statement, Lee added. The fact that this would be objectionable to anyone in either political party is really saying something.
Republican senators are suggesting changes to Kaine's resolutions, which the Democratic senator says can be offered as amendments on the Senate floor.
I want to make sure that anything I vote on makes clear that the President maintains his Article 2 prerogatives and also that it does not contain any political content, Young told reporters Monday, referring to Trump's constitutional power to respond to attacks or imminent threats.
Kaine has agreed to accept Republican amendments that remove specific reference to Trump or might be construed as forcing the withdrawal of U.S. troops from areas where Iranian proxies are present.
Senate Republicans have been leery to criticize Trump publicly or to oppose him on highly political, high-profile votes.
GOP lawmakers, however, have shown more willingness to defy Trump when it comes to preserving Congress's powers, particularly when it comes to declarations of war and appropriations.
7 Senate Republicans voted in March to direct Trump to withdraw U.S. forces from supporting a Saudi-led coalition fighting in Yemen's civil war, a resolution that Trump later vetoed and Congress failed to override.
11 GOP senators voted with Democrats in September to terminate a national emergency declaration Trump used to justify shifting military funds to construction of the border wall without congressional consent. 12 GOP senators voted for a similar resolution in March.
Senators in both parties say a briefing by senior administration officials last week failed to provide a clear legal justification for the U.S. drone strike that killed Soleimani.
The murky legal arguments put forth by the administration come on top of an evolving story about whether U.S. personnel in the Middle East faced an imminent threat from Soleimani, as Trump claimed last week when he said Iran and its allies were looking to blow up our embassy.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo Richard Pompeo Silicon Valley, Barr asks Apple to unlock Pensacola shooter's phone, tech industry rallies behind Google in Supreme Court fight, Congress struggles to set rules for cyber warfare with Iran, blog site Boing hacked overnight defense, Trump says it doesn't really matter if Soleimani was plotting imminent attack, Pompeo won't testify before House panel on Iran, investigation finds Pensacola base shooting was terrorism, House chairman, Pompeo won't testify at Iran hearing Tuesday. Moore on Friday also asserted an imminent threat, adding the intelligence included attacks on U.S. embassies. He declined to define what exactly he meant by imminent.
Defense Secretary Mark Esper overnight defense, Trump says it doesn't really matter if Soleimani was plotting imminent attack, Pompeo won't testify before House panel on Iran, investigation finds Pensacola-based shooting was terrorism. Trump criticized for retweeting image of Pelosi, Schumer in Muslim attire. House chairman, Pompeo won't testify at Iran hearing Tuesday. Moore over the weekend told CBS's Face the Nation that he didn't see a specific piece of evidence that Soleimani was masterminding an attack on as many as 4 U.S. embassies. The president pulled back from his initial claim on Monday by arguing that it doesn't really matter whether there was an imminent threat against U.S. personnel and that the strike against Soleimani was justified because of his horrible past. U.S. forces in the region were on high alert after the strike, and Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei vowed forceful revenge against the United States. Retaliation came in the form of 16 missiles fired by Iran at 2 Iraqi bases housing U.S. personnel, causing damage but resulting in no casualties. Iran then sent word to the Trump administration through Swiss intermediaries that it would not seek to further escalate hostilities. Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world, Trump said Wednesday as lawmakers in both parties breathed a sigh of relief. But Schumer and other Democrats warned on Monday that Iran could still retaliate. Iran can strike us in other ways in the months ahead, through cyber warfare, proxies or established terror networks that have destabilized the Middle East for decades. Schumer said, adding that Khamenei warned the retaliatory missile strike was just one slap. The Senate must not allow the president to proceed unchecked. Senator Kane's War Powers resolution is needed now more than ever. Schumer argued. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell Mitchell McConnell Rand Paul pledges to force Hunter Biden vote if GOP backs Dem impeachment witnesses GOP leadership. There aren't 51 votes to dismiss Trump articles of impeachment. Here's what happens next on impeachment. Moore took to the Senate floor Monday afternoon to argue that Trump's order against Soleimani was justified. He pointed to protests within Iran against the government over the unintentional downing of a Ukrainian airliner, which some Democrats have suggested was caused by heightened tensions between Washington and Tehran. Thousands of Iranians have taken to the streets to celebrate Soleimani's death, condemn the regime's domestic repression, call for regime change in Tehran, McConnell said. I look forward to hearing my colleagues who want to quibble over the word imminent explain just how close we should let terrorists come to killing more Americans before we defend ourselves, he added. I assure you, if the president had not acted to disrupt a deadly attack, I'm confident these same critics would have blasted him for failing to protect American lives. Jordain Carney contributed.